Hi friends, today I wanted to discuss lost souls. A lost soul is someone who passed away at a point in time but never made it to the light. This usually tends to happen when the death was very sudden, unexpected, or happened early on in life when maybe the spirit felt like they weren't ready to depart yet. This lost soul then goes on to continue wandering this earthly realm, but to continue being on this realm, they need a body. What happens is that these spirits, these lost souls, end up attaching themselves to the body of the living. And to them, they don't have a concept of time. And so they can attach themselves to someone that we perceive as decades later. These lost souls, sometimes in a regression session, can get confused as like a past life, because you start to see the memories and experience like the traumatizing effects from those memories that are actually belonging to the lost soul, but we're perceiving it as our own because they're sharing a body with us. The reason it's really important to identify and find these lost souls is because your body's not made to occupy multiple spirits in that way. And so when you have a spirit that's infringing on your will like that, it can affect you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Lost souls tend to attach themselves to people that have certain vulnerabilities, let's say, in their aura. I have seen it many times where a lost soul attached themselves to a person in their childhood when they were feeling alone, lost, scared, abandoned, mistreated. They don't realize it, but they carry that lost soul with them for decades. And then later on, when they're, age 30 or something, they come to me and we discover this, and we're able to talk to the lost soul in the regression. And the regression tells me, I found them when they were 5 years old. It's also possible that there can be multiple lost souls within one person. I've seen it where a person has up to 3, 4, 5 lost souls in different areas of their body. Each one is affecting them in a different way. What's very interesting about these lost souls is they often think that they are helping the person that they are attached to. For example, a lost soul could have died in a very tragic way. And so now with the person that they've attached themselves to, they incite a feeling of fear of leaving your house or of driving, because they don't want the person that they're inhabiting to also die too early or prematurely or suddenly or whatever it may be. And so they may be thinking they're helping, I don't want what happened to me to happen to them. But in actuality, it's affecting the client by holding them back, making them fearful. Doing the regression session, it's a specific part of the session, so I don't do this for everybody. But if I feel a sense of resistance to the session that's not allowing the client to move forward or make breakthroughs, I start to think maybe they have a lost soul on them, and this lost soul doesn't want them to have resolution, because then the lost soul would have to leave. So the lost soul often ends up fighting for their right to stay, but the truth is they don't have a right to stay. They are often confused, lost, and many of them don't even know that they have died. When I noticed resistance within the session, I asked them to imagine themselves as a silhouette of light, and looking at that silhouette, I asked them to conduct a body scan, to scan from head to toe and to look for any dark spots or smudges, stains in their aura. And when they identify them, I ask them, where is it? They'll say, my throat, my heart, my ankle. And I tell them to focus in on that energy. And I say that we are going to speak to that energy directly through your mind. You start to get identifying information. Are you a male? Are you a female? Are you aware you died? And many of them say no, because their death was so jarring that they didn't even have the space and time to process that they died. They just kind of scrambled to find a new body. My mission with the session is to befriend these energies and to let them know that I am here for them and for their well-being. I just want what's best for them and for my clients. I explain to them that by being in my client's body, they are actually hurting them and causing harm and hurting themselves. Upon that realization, they kind of start to soften and realize, like, maybe I do need to go back to the light, to the source. And at that point in time, I can guide them to the light. I see it through until they're all the way there. And it's very sweet, actually, because when they're in the light, they are often reunited with their loved ones, and they start to get emotional and overwhelmed with happiness and joy to be reunited because it's been so long for them. And then I ask them to take with them any of the negative energy that they had left over in my client's body and to bring it up into the light with them. And then once we're able to bid them farewell, fill that space that they occupied in the client's body with healing light. So all the tissues may be restored, and we can at that point kind of affirm any new sort of beliefs or activations that we want. So many of us have these lost souls, and again, we pick them up in vulnerable points of our lives. So that's something when I find them, I'll often ask the lost soul, what attracted you to my client? And I will ask, what was happening in their life at the time that you found them. And they will tell me that, for one, they are often attracted to people because of their light. They go, well, she was just so bright and she was a shining light. And so them in that darkness of not being able to return to source are attracted to your light. And it's kind of bizarre because the very thing that attracted them to you is then the thing that they try to dim out. And I think that just is a result of them being so lost, that some of them are lost for so long that they start to believe that they are darkness itself. Some of them even start to think like that they aren't human and that they weren't human and that they're actually evil. Some of them will even in the session reveal that they enjoy the pain that they bring to the client. But then as we kind of break down their barriers and get to know them a little bit more, they start to soften, and then they remember who they truly were. And then they realize, like, wow, I'm not this evil and I'm so sorry. And I have them ask my client for forgiveness for the pain that they've caused, even if it was unintentional. I'll ask them, how are you affecting my client? They say, well, I affect them through their thoughts. I make them think dark things. I make them hold back. I make them hurt. It's very important that we conduct these spiritual showers on ourselves, because we're picking up stuff constantly from when we're depressed, from when we go on drinking binges, from when we've been torn down by another person. Whenever we have vulnerable points in our aura, things can leak in. And I used to think that concept was very scary, but now I just realize the truth of it, and that the more that we run away from things or try to avoid understanding them, the scarier they are. And so if we actually kind of just face them head on, take the time to understand these things and the energetics behind these things, that maybe they don't have to be so scary. It's important, for one, to rid ourselves of these lost souls and to cleanse ourselves by doing, like a regression session or whatever sort of modality you feel like could accomplish that. But not only that, maintaining that spiritual hygiene by constantly shielding ourselves in our day-to-day, cleansing ourselves in our day-to-day. I find that when we interact with people, we pick up a lot of their energy, and the energy starts to affect us in ways that we're not really aware of. It can create anxiety, stress for us. And recently, the lesson that's been coming up for me a lot is how important it is to cleanse yourself regularly. My spirit guides have instructed me to do it daily, and if not daily, weekly, to really get in the habit of it. Sometimes whenever I am done hanging out with someone or being at work, I just completely cleanse myself of any sort of energy I might have picked up from those interactions or from those places. And I send any sort of negative energy up to Creator's Light, because some people like to say you can send it back to sender, but in my opinion, I don't want to be sending negative energy back anywhere unless it's to source to be neutralized and cleansed. And then I call in all of my energy so I can come back into wholeness. I like to visualize like a shield or a bubble surrounding me, and that it's protecting me, and it's giving me protection until the next moment that I need it to shield myself once more. But that's essentially how lost souls work, and I believe that it's important for us to become more consciously aware of these spirits that are walking the earth and finding us in vulnerable times, and we start to think that their attributes, their personality is our own, because they've been attached to us for so long that it's important that we cleanse them out. And this is something that we can do in a regression hypnotherapy session on my website, cosmichealingshop.com. And we can definitely do a aura cleansing, a negative energy removal if we find that is necessary. Or you can book just a negative energy removal, which is what I call this. There's a separate listing for that on my website. It's called, you'll see it there, negative energy removal. It's a slightly cheaper price because it's kind of a shorter session. I highly encourage doing these things. I can do them remotely. I can do them in person in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So just let me know, what do you guys think about lost souls? Do you think it's a bunch of hoopla, or do you think it's something that you want to start taking more seriously? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you all for watching. So until next time, bye-bye. Ini mukura takara shana korotoka. Ini mukura takara na kushkuno mora kanire taka. Iskana mora takura shuno mukura taka. Ini mushkuno mora kanire katara kashana mukura taka. Ini mushkuno mora katiri katara shana mukura tukura na makara nira kara shana mukura nire ne kara tako. Iskana mara kotoro shuno mukura nara kataira. Ushkana mara kurataka. Ini mukurataka na mukurataka shinirikata.